In this video, I'm going to go over a couple of things I want to explain in the solar preferences. So once you got solar open, if you go up to the top right and click on the gearbox and choose solar preferences, you get this pop-up. The first thing is most of you probably have a terminal ID in there. It may say something like DANCTR, and that basically tells solar what printer to print to by default, which is very important for counter and warehouse computers. A lot of people don't have anything there if you have a laptop or a desktop in an office, and you may change locations a lot. But Eclipse has told me that you should have something there, even if it doesn't reference an actual terminal ID. So I've been recommending people enter in solar there. So you should, if your window is blank, type in solar, and based off of Eclipse recommendations. Next thing I recommend is to come over here and click on Use Default Font Size. Solar, even though this is a new version of Solar, it's still grabbing some of the old settings from your previous version of Solar. So if you change the font in that old one, it's keeping those settings here. And being that this is a new version of Solar, some of the screens have changed, the size, fields have gotten bigger or smaller, and I've just noticed myself, and from looking at other people's screens, that if you had a really large font size, it's kind of messing up some of the screens. So I've recommended everybody use default font size and then log out of Eclipse and back in again. If the text is still too small after you revert it back to the default size, then you can come back into change font from here. And the first thing I would do is raise it up one or two sizes, but I don't recommend people going above 14. I've just noticed that if you go above 14 in size, then some of your fields on certain screens just don't look right. They overlap things. So you can go up to about 14, but you can say I have mine set to bold, regular, and at 11, and the text is all a really good size. This version of Solar does a lot better job of respecting your Windows DPI settings than the other version did. Now let's go over to the Advanced tab. The next thing I tell people I recommend them to do is clear the window sizes and clear window locations. So basically what this means is if you had a window such as this one and you dragged it out and made it bigger or even smaller, it's going to reset those window sizes. And I think that's very important for everybody to do, because windows have been, some of the screens in Solar in this new version have been redesigned, and you had it at a certain size previously and it's still respecting those old values, but I think you'll have a better user experience if you clear these and kind of start over again. That doesn't mean that when you open a screen that you can't resize it and make it bigger if you want to, but I just think you should kind of start off from scratch. And then you don't have to do this one, but this one will clear your window location. So if you opened a window in Solar and you moved it over to a different monitor, and every time you go open that, it pops up on that other side, and you don't like that, you can hit clear window locations, and so from there on out, it'll start over again, learning where you're moving your windows to and leaving them at. But this one I highly recommend you using and clearing out your window sizes and kind of hitting the reset button on that. Let's go over to the messaging tab. Here on the messaging tab, you have the ability to tell Solar where you want your message pop-up window to appear, how long you want it to appear, and whether or not you want to disable phantom messages as well. So I want my pop-up to appear. So that, as you can see, this says disable standard message notification. I have it set to no, which means it will pop up. I've set how long it's going to last for 5 seconds. And I've told it to put the pop-up in the bottom right-hand corner. So when somebody sends me a message, I'll get it in the bottom right-hand corner. Then you can disable phantom notification. So, phantom notification is like when a fax completes, it'll notify you. If you have a report running, it'll notify you that the report's done. And you can disable those if you want to, but I want those to be enabled for me. I don't need those to pop up as long as other messages, so I set it for 3 seconds. And I put the position at the same place in the bottom right. Maybe you want your phantom notifications to appear in the bottom left, so it would appear over on the left side of the screen. But you got a handful of settings there that you can configure how you want message notifications to be handled. And last but not least, the bulletin board. The bulletin board is this feature at the top of Solar here where we can communicate company messages within Solar now, which is a great feature. You can set how long you want a message to appear before it automatically scrolls to the next one. And I think the default setting is like 10. You can make it 30, you can make it 60 seconds, or you can set it to 0. And what happens when you set it to 0, it will not automatically scroll to the next one. What will happen is if there's multiple messages up there, you'll have an arrow over here on the right and an arrow over here on the left, and you can manually cycle through them yourself. And this little dot right there indicates how many bulletin board messages there are. So if there was 3 messages, you would have 3 little dots, and then of course you would have the arrows to click on to cycle through them. Right now the company only has 1 message up there, so this is the only one that you see. And that does it for the Solar preferences. Thank you.